Oh boy, here we go. Talking about the Xbox numbers that I've been saying for such a long time. I called it. Just like I call everything. I'm always fucking right about these things, man. It's not good. It's really not good. They're probably making a lot of money, but they're also spending a lot of money. They're basically like they're collapsing and they're trying to duct tape everything together as much as they can at the same time they're building stuff, but it's making a bunch of shit collapse even more. And the tower is getting bigger, but it's also getting more unstable.
Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today. It's another interesting day in the world of Xbox. Just yesterday, we talked about those 30% profit margins that were set. And when you see the recent revenue numbers for Xbox, you kind of get why the push is happening. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to break down another slew of Xbox news. We also have brand new comments from Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella talking about the next Xbox console, basically confirming that report that we covered earlier this week from Jez Corden on what the next Xbox console.
Dude, I called this a year ago. I said that Xbox, whatever the next Xbox is going to be, I can already see it being like a high-end PC, and I think they're going to outsource Xbox. I think they're going to outsource the Xbox software to put on other devices. They're going to have a bunch of third-party devices running the Xbox Windows software. I'm already seeing it. Everything, all of the things that I called are, turn out to be true every time. So I think this one's going to end up being true.
Will be, which is, as we described in that video, a console PC hybrid. But also, he has some other interesting...
And it's going to cost way too much for the, regular person to buy. And any smart person would just buy a fucking PC. Like, what are you doing?
Thoughts that he shared that I wanted to talk a bit about. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here and you're into the world of Xbox, like I said at the start of this week, it's a busy week full of Xbox news. Consider subscribing. All right, let's begin with the numbers here covered by Game Developer. They write Xbox hardware revenue is in decline again by 29%, with gaming revenue at Xbox falling by 2% and 3% in constant currency, amounting to $113 million lost. Now, I know for a company like Microsoft, you look at that number, you're like, that's a lot of money, but also not a lot of money to the multi-trillion-dollar company. But as I'll get into here a bit, when you start...
It's rot, is what it is.
To assess the numbers of other parts of Microsoft versus Xbox, it does paint a concerning picture. And of course,
yeah, the bottom's falling out.
We can see the synchronization of when hardware started to decline with the announcement of the multi-platform push. And there's no doubt that this upcoming console PC hybrid is not going to be for the really hardcore consumer like you or I. Like I was talking about on Defining Duke.
Yeah, they're not going for the bottom tier consumer, and they're not going for the hardcore consumer, because the hardcore consumer isn't going to be buying an Xbox PC. We're just going to use our PC, especially if the Xbox software is going to be everywhere. Like, why would we do that? In the bottom tier, they're not going to be able to, I say bottom tier, the people that are like, barely holding on because of the prices, they're not going to be able to afford it. They're not going to get it. So they're just going to have a shittier experience. And at that point, you might as well just buy a PC. Like a $400 PC, you can play everything. And it's going to look great.
And the reality is, when I think more and more about this next Xbox console, I wonder how for me it is, because I'm lucky enough to have a PC, a handheld PC, a PlayStation, a Switch right here next to me. Like, I'm very well taken care of. And so would a PC with an Xbox skin really speak to my library outside of my job? I mean, of course I'll pick it up and cover it, but would it speak to me when I already have like a great rig at home? I think, as we'll get into with these numbers here, the exception at Xbox is that hardware is there as sort of a off-ramp, get you on out of here. And I really don't know if the casual console base is going to transition over to that, because to them, they know gaming is this kind of cheap console thing. Like, I'm going to spend $500 max. And when the rumors are that this next PC is going to be over $1,000, and
that's crazy.
The price of the Xbox out.
Dude, they're gonna fail so hard if they do that. They're gonna have to, if they're gonna do that, they're gonna have to release some smaller devices, or outsource Xbox software to other devices.
I mean, this thing's going to be expensive. Sarah Bond saying it's a very premium, very high-end device. Like, Xbox is trying to create this new image around their brand that they have seen the light, as we'll break down a little bit when we talk about Satya Nadella. But more on the numbers here. They write, this was driven by a decline in Xbox hardware, which saw a revenue decrease of 29% due to the lower volume of consoles sold. Microsoft previously reported a hardware decline to 42% year over year during Q4 of the full year ending June 30th, 2024. As laid out in Microsoft's fiscal year 26 Q1 earnings report, the decrease in gaming revenue is offset in part in Xbox content and services, which increased by 1%
Dude, what?
against a stronger prior year comparable. The company attributes the latter to better than expected performance from third-party content. Third-party. Think of how much content Xbox has released. They've done a lot wrong.
Even if this works, by the way, what's next? What comes after that? Like, you have to do better than that. And if you think you're gonna make more money by putting your games everywhere, well, where do you go after that if your games are already everywhere? Like, they just keep chasing the dragon. More and more money, bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's just making everything underneath them collapse. Because the structure isn't holding up all this bullshit they're piling on top.
But they've been putting out games, man, and they're thanking third party for why the revenue went up. Just keep that in mind. Let's keep going. During an investor call, looking ahead at Q2, Microsoft Chief Financial Officer Amy Hood
Investors.
said the company
That's the problem.
expects revenue to decline for Xbox content and services in the low to mid single digits. This is against a prior year comparable that, quote, benefited from first party performance, end quote, partially offset by growth in subscriptions. Of course, I think that is pointing to Call of Duty. In addition, Hood said that hardware revenue should decline, quote, year over year, end quote. This is despite the CFO saying the company saw a great response to the Xbox Ally launch. Lastly, Hood added that Minecraft reached 155 million active users, calling it an all-time high, while also setting a new record for players on PC, albeit without specifying a number. So if you've been in the Xbox news space for a while, nothing here is surprising to you.
Yep.
Content and services are
Apparently, it is surprising to a lot of people who want to just shit on me in the comments because they have no fucking idea, because they don't pay attention to this kind of stuff. They just see the news being shit at them on social media, and they're like, yeah, woo, and they're fucking licking windows, man.
up in some type of percentage, usually a very low percentage. Meanwhile, hardware is significantly down, and it's been down every quarter for multiple years now. Like, it's a bad picture, right? Like, this is a company totally on the outs with hardware in the way we traditionally think about it. Your PlayStation, your Nintendo, they're not doing that anymore. They're done subsidizing, and they're trying to think about it like a PC. But where I think things really start to come into view is where you see how Microsoft is doing in other areas of their business. And this is where,
using AI,
as I said in the video yesterday, I don't mean it in a I'm sympathizing with Xbox or I'm cheering on the corporates out there, but I get why Xbox is getting the squeeze, and I'll break down how we got here. But here is some numbers on growth that we've not really ever seen from Xbox.
like, the more I look at this over and over again, the more I realize they're using AI for generation and like the lighting and texturing of the objects in the lighting. Like, check this shit out.
Here is some
like, what? See all that
on
pop
growth that
in
we've not really
on the
ever seen
textures?
from Xbox this generation. Game developer writes, during the
It's
same
absolutely
investor call,
everywhere.
Hood touted revenue for Azure and other cloud services being ahead of expectations, with a revenue growth of 40%. In the terms of AI and cloud services, revenue was $30.9 billion, which translates to a 28% year-on-year growth. Now,
Dude, the cloud service is so unstable that, like, you're gonna put everything online, and you know what's gonna happen? The service is gonna go down for 2 or 3 days, and you're gonna lose billions upon billions of dollars. Just look at Amazon Web Services, and they just went down again, by the way. Even more money.
Now, Xbox has had good stretches throughout this generation. I'm not saying they haven't. There have been a lot of bad ones, though. And obviously now we see with the hardware numbers, they've been on the decline. You have to think of it this way, right? You buy Activision Blizzard King. You buy the biggest mobile game. You buy the biggest first-person shooter, like the biggest video games ever. 2 of them are now in your library.
They said that they were going to do better, man. And apparently the new Call of Duty is just seeing abysmal sales numbers.
I too would expect my revenue picture to turn around, and I would like to see numbers similar to other parts of the Microsoft business. I'd like to see Xbox, if I'm like Amy Hood or other executives at Microsoft, I would like to see Xbox ahead of expectations when you buy one of the biggest publishers in gaming. And just a couple of years before that, you buy another massive publisher in video games.
You know what they're going to have to do with this Xbox PC? They're going to have to make it for creators. They're going to have to like put some services on there that's going to compete with like OBS and stuff like that. And people actually use it as a PC, or nobody's going to buy that shit. And it's also got to be better and more reliable than a PC. But judging by Windows and the Windows PCs, I think it's not going to be as good, man.
Games in Bethesda combined with Game
At that point, they're competing with themselves. Just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Pass, and of course Xbox's push for cloud gaming. Like, there's been a major investment there. I don't blame them to a certain extent for being like, it's time to collect. But in fairness, as we talked about yesterday, Xbox is running a profitable business. It's just, to Microsoft, not profitable enough for how much they're spending on it. Whether it's just the average operating costs, which we don't know, or the acquisitions we can point to and know how much they are. When you're making the biggest acquisition in video game history, you're going to get squeezed because you're going to look at other parts of your business as Microsoft and go, why are we handling Xbox like this? Like, they should be making way more money.
They should be making way more games. Way smaller games. Like, so far, they've just been, like, shitting out giant hundreds of $1 million spent games when they should be pushing out a whole bunch of $50 million, $100 million games. And like, some of them can be bad. Some of them are going to end up being great. And if they end up being great, then that's great. Because then you make all the money that you would have made if you would have just shit out a $300 million game. Like, there's no difference between the quality of a $50 million and a $300 million game. The only difference is like how much bloat you have in it.
This gets us into our comments with CEO Satya Nadella, as covered by IGN, where he basically confirms what the next Xbox will be. Here's the quote. Remember, the biggest gaming business is the Windows business, Nadella began. To us, gaming on Windows, and of course Steam has built a massive marketplace on top of it, and they've done a very successful job. Now, we're the largest publisher after the Activision deal. Therefore, we want to be a fantastic publisher. Similar approach to what we...
When they say largest publisher, dude, that's such a manipulation, because people will take that and they're like, oh, they're the #1 publisher. No, they're not the #1 game publisher. They are just the largest. They have the most IPs. They have the biggest IPs that they're not utilizing.
Did with Office. We want to be everywhere in every platform. So we want to make sure, whether it's consoles, whether it's PC, whether it's mobile, whether it's cloud gaming, or the TV, we just want to make sure the games are being enjoyed by gamers everywhere. Second, we also wanted to do innovative work in the system side on the console and on the PC. It's kind of funny that people think about console PC as two different things. We built the console because
because people do things that aren't gaming on PCs. Gaming is kind of an afterthought for PC, and it's still better than the console. That's why we think of it differently.
To build a better PC, which could then perform for gaming. I kind of want to revisit some of that conventional wisdom, but at the end of the day, console has an experience that is unparalleled. It delivers performance that is unparalleled, that pushes, I think, the system forward. So I'm really looking forward to the next console, the next PC gaming. But most importantly, the game business model has to be where we have to invent maybe some new interactive media as well. After all, gaming's competition...
Remember last time they tried that with the Kinect? Tried to make some new interactive media?
Competition is not other gaming. Gaming's competition is short form video. And so if we as an industry don't continue to innovate both how we produce, what we produce, how we think about distribution, the economic model, the best way to innovate is to have good margins, because that's the way you can fund. So now you start to see how the...
You know what you could do? Make a better gaming platform for videos than YouTube. That'd be cool. They're not going to be able to do it because Microsoft fucking sucks.
Speech is trickling down, right? We're starting to hear...
It's like they're trying to do a thing that they've already done before and failed.
Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, Sarah Bond say these similar things. Like we covered earlier this week, Matt Booty saying like the biggest form of competition for Xbox is TikTok and movies. This has received a lot of eyebrow raises across the industry, and a lot of people don't agree with it. Many do, though, I've seen online, have understood what this means and how true it actually is, because the reality is there is content everywhere, and the fight is for your time. Really, the biggest competition for some of these companies is the time you spend with your family. It sounds dystopian, and that's because it is. They don't want you doing that. They want you consuming constantly, and so they want you to go on your short form videos, or Xbox wants to take you away from that and put you in their ecosystem. So while there's much I do disagree with in Microsoft proper and Xbox proper plenty, this is one of those talking points I don't. I get why they're looking at that and seeing the time spent as a threat.
But also, they've tried this before. They keep trying to jump into the video platform spaces, and then they fail, and then the video platform space that they tried to get into dies anyway, and it was just like, what the fuck was the point?
Does not mean that PlayStation and Nintendo...
Like, what was it, Mixer? They bought Mixer, and it just failed, and then nobody really cared about streaming after that?
...are less of a competitor. It just means that you have to fight for time. And how do you fight for time? You produce great video games. Something that Xbox has done, but to the level of a Game of the Year winner, they have not done that yet. Both PlayStation in God of War and, of course, Nintendo in things like Breath of the Wild have produced Game of the Year titles, or contenders even, like Tears of the Kingdom or Spider-Man. Xbox has found themselves making great games for a particular type of gamers. Like, I love Indiana Jones, but that really wasn't cracking into the Game of the Year conversation, partially because of where it released. I really enjoyed The Outer Worlds 2, but that's because it's for my particular taste, but I also understand that's not going to be a Game of the Year style title. So this is one way Xbox could get your time, right? They could actually just compete by making top-of-the-line video games, but we've seen how that...
They need to make smaller games and make way more of them and use the IPs that they actually have and not shit all over them.
It's gone, and that's just too up in the air for them, clearly. So now we take a look at what they're talking about here with this Windows business and how the focus is being everywhere. A lot of people have framed this as Xbox has seen the light, this is how it should be, but
they tried this before with the Windows 8. But by the way, it's like they don't learn from their fucking mistakes, dude.
Again, state that this just isn't how the rest of entertainment operates. I don't think as a creative, you make a thing and you go, I only want X and Y to play this. Like, you don't really do that. You want as many people as possible to play that thing. But part of the reason people are happy to make exclusive content is because the deals behind closed doors. It's not this simple. In fact, I don't know fully how it goes, but it's not as simple as like, hey, you make game A and bring it to our platform, and we'll give you this much money. But like, there is a level of security financially, like, okay, we can make this because we're providing content effectively for a service. So a lot of creatives will take that bag because it kind of makes their world go around. Like, I get to make the thing I want. This company finds value in it for their ecosystem in an exclusive capacity where they'll sell it to their customers and use it as a draw to their platform, so they do more spending within the storefront on third party, which funny enough was brought up here by Xbox's earnings. What we're seeing here is Xbox trying to bring the rest of the industry in line with their vision because Xbox has lost, right? Not in the terms of money made. You're the biggest publisher in video games. You have Activision, you have your own first party studios, you have...
Doesn't mean most successful.
Have Bethesda. Like, I don't consider Xbox the big loser that many people do. I just think Xbox is owned by Microsoft, which is a company that does not know what enough money actually means. So for them and their business, based on the sales of their games, like Jason Schreier just reported how Indiana Jones did best on PlayStation 5, it's like, okay, for Xbox and their business, they're like, our brand isn't hot enough.
They're looking up to the sky, running up the hill, and they think the hill is going to keep going on forever, but they're never going to look down from the sky. They keep just looking at the sky, and they're going to realize that this is not a hill they're running up. It's a cliff.
To get people to come even play great games. Like Indiana Jones was a top 3 for me last year. I loved that game. So when you assess these types of talking points in line with Xbox's revenue numbers that just dropped, it's a reframing of the information that's out there. We're not failing. We're actually seeing where gaming's going. We're not selling less copies. We're just doing what people are expecting. We're meeting them where they want to be. It's not about hardware and exclusivity anymore. So we're just going to create this boutique one that allows you to play the best games and the best possible experience here on this high-end device. But if you go over there to PC, our games will be there. If you go over to PlayStation, our games will also be there. Like, we're going to make our money no matter what. Just go and play and enjoy. And to me, where it all comes down to with this lack of sales,
That would work. That'd be great. That sounds amazing, actually. It sounds like what we needed in the 360 days. But they keep shitting out half-assed products that cost way too much, and there's too much bloat, and the marketing sucks.
is one of the best and worst things that happened to Xbox. You have to remember, at the end of the Xbox One generation, Phil Spencer steps in. He is the hope of the brand, right? He steps in. He's got this vision.
When everything's an Xbox, then nothing is.
Satya Nadella is about to shut down the Xbox division, and Phil says, I've got this idea. He proposes Game Pass. Game Pass gives Xbox not only a lifeline, but Game Pass also gives Xbox a sense of identity. It starts to transition into day one games. They try to push this service, grow this service, and in turn, it starts to hurt sales. It was both the lifeline, but also the death sentence, because now sales are hurting on Xbox so much that they have to go bring their games elsewhere. And they're making, again, I'll always go back to Indiana Jones, a great exclusive. It's got that broad appeal from a popular IP to a fantastic story to the high production value that you'd expect of a licensed IP video game. Like, it's got everything going for it, but it didn't sell well on Xbox. It sold well on PlayStation. There are so many points that you can look at this generation and understand how Xbox's leadership got us to the point where Microsoft proper has taken over. Everything from the failure to launch any games with the launch of your new console, all the way to Halo Infinite's botched launch. You think about 2022, there were no video games. I can imagine there was a conversation between Microsoft and Xbox of like, clean it up. We need games in 2023. Here comes the games. Here comes Starfield.
Yeah, this is what happens whenever corporations get too big for their britches and they're trying to reach the most massive audience that they can. Spend the most money they can, because spend more money, you make more money, right? Well, nobody's buying the game, so shit, we're gonna have to raise the price of the games so that the people who buy it will be paying more. Oh shit, they're starting to not buy it? Oh fuck, what do we do? Game Pass.
Starfield doesn't move the needle at all. Here comes the Activision Blizzard acquisition. Now the eye of Satya is on the company. That's basically it in a nutshell. It's a combination of Microsoft greed, a failure to sustain throughout this entire generation, all coming together. Like, everyone is at fault, and now they're trying to
They're going the way of all of the past gaming companies who failed. Like, it just seems like that's what's going on here, man. And eventually Microsoft is just going to announce a major sell-off. I'm seeing it coming. I am seeing it coming in the very near future. And it's going to come out of nowhere. Like the WB sell-off that just started happening. Like, holy shit. And CBS, literally just one night, it was announced that they were getting sold.
Shape that into a victory, into a we're here before everyone. And like Xbox and Microsoft always do, when they see the future, aka Xbox TV, they go for it, and they go hard for it. So yeah, these hardware numbers are really telling when you combine them with the kind of marketing speak that's happening at the same time. It's no coincidence to me that all of a sudden Sarah Bond, Matt Booty, Phil Spencer, Satya Nadella, Amy Hood are all talking as these numbers are jumping out. It's just not a coincidence. So see it for what it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I encourage you to do. But other than that, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts down below. Fire away. Other than that, please take excellent care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one. Stay sexy, stay active.
All right, man. Well, fucking, I don't know where this is going to go. I'm completely out on anything Microsoft. I'm a Linux user. Even on my PC, I use Linux. I don't have Microsoft on anything. I don't use any kind of Microsoft apps. I don't use any Microsoft services whatsoever. They can go fuck themselves. I don't play Xbox games. Even on PC, I don't have Xbox games. I got Halo, but I've had that for a long time. Halo Infinite was the last time, man. That was the last straw for me, and then I was just completely out on everything Microsoft whatsoever. Like, fuck that shit. I'm not playing the new Halo, the remake of the first game. I can't wait to shit all over it, though. Microsoft, Nintendo, fuck them. I don't even like Sony either, but they're probably the best out of the three of them. Honestly, GOG is where I've been going nowadays.